A Place in the Sun by Jill Rubalcaba, Chapter 2. The Physician. Yuf lay on the floor of the courtyard, his legs twisted under him awkwardly. Senmut pressed his ear to his father's heart. He heard nothing. "Father!" Senmut shouted. Yuf's eyes fluttered and then fell still again. "Father!" This time there was no response. Nofret came to the top of the stairs. "I can't hear his heart." Nofret flew down the stairs. She grabbed Yuf's shoulders, pulling him to her, sobbing his name. Senmut rushed for the gate, shouting, "I'll get the physician!" He clawed at the latch, yanked open the heavy door, and ran into the street. He stood in the street, disoriented. The music, the crowds, he'd forgotten the festival. He grabbed a boy skipping by. "Quickly, run for the physician! My father, he's dying! The cobra's poison!" Senmut's own words choked him. Kazwan, the village elder, broke through the wild crowd, pushing aside those who blocked his way. "Come!" Kazwan grabbed Senmut's elbow, steering him back to his father. The music in the streets still rose and fell, but inside the courtyard it sounded distant, muffled by the murmurs of the neighbors who had crowded the gate. Those who had followed only out of curiosity glanced about uneasily, searching the corners and shadows for evil spirits. But those who knew Yuf or knew of his art mumbled prayers for the well-being of his Ka. Their prayers for his father's spirit only made Senmut more anxious. Could his Ka be preparing the way to the other world? Kazwan, Senmut, and Nofret knelt around Yuf, looking for signs of life. His breast rose and fell so slightly. Senmut couldn't tell if it was really moving at all. The physician hurried into the courtyard. He was out of breath from the run. He clutched to his heaving chest a medical bag woven of papyrus reed and a scroll of treatments. The crowd parted to make way for him. "O ghost, thou hidden one, concealer, trickster, dwelling in this man's flesh, get thee hence! Escape!" The physician's voice grew louder. "O demon, destroyer of organs, I order thee to leave this man." The physician knelt to examine Yuf. He felt for a pulse. "His heart is weak and irregular." He looked around. "You and you and you," he said, pointing to the strongest in the crowd. "Lift him gently." The men carefully placed Yuf on his sleeping mat under the canopy on the roof, cradling his head in the headrest. The physician unpacked his medical bag. He lined up packets of dried herbs, magic charms, and vials of liquid in neat rows along Yuf. Yuf groaned. The physician raised a curved bone knife with one hand. His other hand cuffed over Yuf's brow. He squeezed his eyes shut and prayed. Only his lips moved. At first, Senmut thought the physician meant to cut Yuf with the knife. He'd heard of physicians who believed in bleeding the evil spirits out. Senmut searched the physician's face. Was there hope? Would his father die? The old man's expression gave away nothing. Senmut grabbed his father's hand. He held tight. He was afraid to let go. Afraid if he did, Yuf's Ka would drain away into the Egyptian sand. Senmut held tighter, leaned closer. His lips began to move in a prayer of his own. The physician scored the plaster around Yuf's sleeping mat with the knife carved with the eye of the Horus. Then he looked up and spoke to Senmut for the first time. A barrier to protect him from evil spirits. Senmut looked at the small channel etched by the knife. How could such a scratch protect Yuf from evil? "He'll be all right, won't he? You can make it so, can't you?" He felt his mother tug at him. Too late, he realized what he's done. What if the physician declared Yuf untreatable? Yuf would die without the physician's help. Without spells, amulets, ointments. Why had he asked? Why was he always so impatient? His father needed the physician's skill. He mustn't hurry the old man. The physician gently lifted Yuf's head and slid the U-shaped headrest out from under Yuf's neck, replacing it with one from his reed medicine bag. The base of the pedestal was carved, a serpent armed with a knife. Senmut closed his eyes and saw the cobra striking Yuf, striking again and again. What would become of his father? The physician said, "His heart speaks out. The voice falters. We shall have to wait and see if it grows strong or stumbles. The physician lifted the stopper from a large vessel. He poured the potion into a small cup he held at arm's length. He turned his head and leaned back as he poured. What was that smell? Senmut wrinkled his nose. It smelled like rotting flesh and decaying plants. To drive the evil spirits from the body. The physician pressed the cup to Yuf's lip. Senmut retched. He held his stomach, squeezing, trying to control the spasms. The physician warned, beware the fire beneath the flesh. The reddened skin is like the red sands of the desert. It brings death. Senmut looked at his father. Yuf's chest shuddered. He struggled for each breath. Was this his father? His loud, joking father? Lying here, scarcely able to breathe. It couldn't be. Senmut wanted him to wake up, to open his eyes and wink at Senmut as though it was all some joke. It's not funny, father. This is not funny.